and all I'm thinking is, this guy's drunk, this guy's angry, this guy is sexually aroused, and he also knows where I live and that I live alone. I'm in danger. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or to it if this is the first time you are seeing my face. Thank you for clicking on it. My name is JC. I like to do story times on this channel, and I've been waiting to tell several stories because I've been too scared to tell them, which I'll tell you why as the videos go on. But basically, now that I did my whole stint in a mental institution, I can reflect on these stories with a new perspective. And so that's what I want to start getting into, some more casual, fun, lighthearted content after some pretty heavy stuff on my channel. Go check it out because it's still pretty interesting. But today's story is going to be about a little bit of a party story and how it went wrong and I thought my life was in danger. What a concept. So if you like this video as it goes along, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. But let's just hop right into this story time. All right, so this story starts off several years ago when I actually had first moved to LA. So this was around COVID time. I was living at home with my parents and I was like, I need to get out of my hometown. So I found a summer sublet and then an apartment opened up within that apartment complex and I was like, let me move in. I love it here. And the rest is history because I'm still here. Still in the restaurant. That's not how that goes. Yes, this is the apartment complex that almost killed me. But you know what? I have good rent, so I think I'll stay here for now. But suffice to say, I moved out to this apartment 5-ish years ago. So I'm new in town, you know? I don't have any friends out here. I don't have an established group of acquaintances to hang out with. But I started to notice that a lot of people in my apartment complex were around my age and they seemed cool, young, and fun. So I kind of started start saying hi to them and, you know, introduce myself in that sense. But one thing that I really started to notice was that there was like a little pod of cigarette smokers and they'd kind of go out around the same time every night and I could smell when they were outside because it started smelling like a casino up in my apartment. And I would kind of start hearing them talking, so I was like, let me just go outside and hang out with them. So I would go downstairs and go out to the porch and I would just like sit with them and chit chat with them and pet their dogs and hang out with them. And so even though I was not a smoker myself, I kind of just started the habit of going down and hanging out with them and really starting to consider them friends over time. So we became like a little neighbor pod. We became, I think I called us the Porch Pirates for a hot second. I was like, yeah guys, like we're a cool friend group. And I'm pretty sure I was the first one to kind of initiate us hanging outside of the porch. And so I think what was it? Okay, yeah, so the first time we ever hung out was I just invited all of the neighbors over to my apartment. I said, hey, come over for a karaoke and pajama party and we can hang out, drink, and just like, I don't know, be friends. And so everyone came over and it was a hootin' and hollering time. We were being loud with the karaoke machine. We were having a good time. It was also kind of nice because I'm in a very small complex and pretty much like half of the complex was at my apartment. So we didn't have to worry about any noise complaints because there was nobody to complain. They were all at my apartment. So that night was a great time, but there was one neighbor who couldn't actually make it to that party. He was doing something else. And a couple nights later, like I saw him outside on the porch. He was like, oh dang, like I wish I made it to your party. And I was like, don't worry, we'll catch you on the next one. And he said, sure, absolutely. Now this neighbor is important, so we need to give him a name. Hey Ziggy, give me a random men's name.
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Andrew, Andy, Anderson, Adam, Aaron, Arnold, Ace, Anki, Anakin are just a few different random male names.
How'd she go from Adam to Anakin? Okay, we'll go with Andy because that was the first one she said. So we will call this neighbor Andy, and he's a very important person in this story. So a few weeks later, I actually have a friend come in from out of town and we were hanging out in my apartment. We could hear and smell all the people downstairs. So I said, hey, you want to come downstairs and meet my neighbors and hang out? She said, sure, that sounds like a good time. So we grab a couple beers, we head down to the porch and we go and hang out with them. Now, my friend and Andy, I don't know, you could kind of see like sparks flying a little bit. You could see them like flirting a little bit, like getting a little handsy. And I was like, uh-oh, love connection. Maybe my friend will come and visit me more since she's flirting with a guy that I live across the blay from. The blay? The way? The block? I don't know what I was trying to say there. So they exchanged numbers. We come back to my apartment, and I was like, "Oh, like you and Andy, huh?" And she was like, "Yeah, like I don't know, he's pretty cute, and like he was making me giggle. So perhaps this could be a blossoming love story." However, she was from out of town, like out of state even. She didn't even live here, so that wasn't even going to go anywhere. But literally that night, they were texting all throughout the night. I wake up in the morning and she turns her phone to me and shows a very innocuous photo of an appendage of a man that I did not want to see. Needed bleach for my eyeballs after that. Does Visine make bleach eye drops? Because that's what I needed. So clearly the conversation between them got very sexual very quickly and very, well, not physical, I guess virtually physical as it could get. Long story short, they fast-tracked the love connection between them and took it straight to the bedroom in a digital sense. You get what I'm saying? You guys catching the subtext? You're smart, you can figure it out. So I was like, yes, sis, have your fun. Good for you. It's not going to go anywhere. But next time, don't show me that photo of my neighbor. I do not need to see it. But my friend, she leaves, goes out of town, and nothing really happens between them. It all sizzles out because, again, she's not from here. But I was just like, oh, interesting to know that, like, I don't know, my neighbor's a little flirt, but I'll keep that in the back of my noggin for next time. So then a few weeks later, one of the other neighbors was like, hey guys, like party at my place. You free this Saturday? Come over, we'll have some drinks, we'll just play video games. It'll be a super chill night. And we're like, heck yes. The last party at my apartment, while it was a foot stomping good time, the frick frack was that, JC? It was also like very high level party vibes. Like we're looking for just something a little bit more chill. Like, so that sounds like a good time. So we go over to their place and, they have the Nintendo Switch set up. We're going to play Mario Kart all night. A couple people are having drinks, but then somebody else brought like gummies and we're like, hey, let's take a gummy and just chill out and play video games. And so I took a gummy and we're like, all right, this should be a fun time. Now, this is also so stupid. This is one of the reasons I didn't want to tell this story because it's like a little bit important, but I was like, oh, I can't let the internet know that I took a gummy of marijuana, the devil's lettuce, the jazz cabbage. My mother watches this channel. She's gonna think I'm addicted to drugs. I could never. My, how naive I was. I went to a mental institution, okay? A gummy was the least of my worries. But yeah, so like we all take gummies and we're all just hanging out, expecting just a very low vibe type of night. Not low vibe, but like chill vibes. The problem is that Andy was running late. He was at work and he's like, don't worry, I'll be there in an hour. Like I'll catch up with you guys. So he shows up, some of our gummies are starting to kick in, starting to, really get into couch, if you know what I mean. And he feels like a little bit of FOMO. He's like, shoot, I gotta catch up. So he takes like 2 shots right away, reaches for the gummy, and he takes 1, and then he quickly goes and pops 2. And we're all like, whoa, 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 my guy. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't take 2. That is too many. And he's like, no, don't worry. I got a high tolerance. I'll be okay. And we're like, no, that's probably not a good idea. And he was like, too late. And so the rest of the neighbors and I were kind of looking at each other going like, uh-oh, this could be a problem. And we're also thinking this too because this guy, like he gave party guy vibes. And he was there to like be the life of the party. So in my head, I'm like, he's a grown adult. He probably does know his tolerance and he clearly parties a lot. So I actually think he's going to be okay. Let's just see how this plays out. So, we start playing our games. We play board games, we play video games, whatever it was. And Andy is still drinking. He had a couple of beers and he just starts to get to another level where we were like, okay, like, is this turning into a party night? Like, what's going on here? And Andy is fun. I will say that. He is a fun guy and really is that life of the party vibes that he kind of got the energy going. And we're like, you know what? Maybe this doesn't need to be a chill night. It's a Saturday night. We're all together. Again, we could be as loud as we want because half of the apartment complex is right here. All right, fuck it. Let's have some fun. So we all kind of start drinking a little bit more. Everybody's getting a little bit more elevated. And then one of the neighbors says, hey, let's go back to my apartment. We'll have a dance party, a karaoke party. I got some strobe lights and a fog machine. Like, let's take this party to the next level. And we're all leveled up at that point that we're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So we go to the next neighbor's apartment, puts on all the lights, the fog machine. We just start having a dance party and it is such a good time, like such good energy, such like a safe space. We could see Andy kind of over in the couch losing a bit of his neck control, like maybe his eyelids were drooping a little bit too much. And we're like, all right, good. Let him let him be at peace on the couch. Like, he's fine over there, he's fine. So the guy whose apartment it was, he goes to the bathroom, and within 10 seconds, we just hear this ferocious Paul Bunyan mountain man scream of, "What the hell?" And we're like, uh-oh, what happened in his bathroom? I guess a little bit of a trigger warning, but I'm gonna start to describe some bodily fluids. So if you're sensitive to that, skip ahead a little bit. But it's important. So he comes out angry, immediate tension goes throughout the room because he goes, "Who the fuck puked on the floor in my bathroom? There is vomit all over the floor. You didn't even make the toilet. Who hurled everywhere?" And so we're all just like dead silent now. Music turns off, everybody stiffens up, and we're kind of looking around. And we look over to Andy on the couch, who now is full on slumped over, being like giggling to himself, going, huh? So the neighbor goes, "Andy, dude, what the hell? Did you just puke all over my bath? You couldn't even make it to the toilet? You only made it on the floor? Like, what the heck is going on? I stepped in it in socks. My socks are disgusting. I've come in here and cleaned this up." And as he's like ranting and getting angry, I'll never forget this vision because I was scared at the time. Like, I don't like people yelling. Like, I don't like confrontation, as you guys know. And so I'm just like, uh-oh, like, this is bad. Are they going to fight? No, they weren't going to fight. But I just remember looking over at Andy. And as the neighbor is yelling at him, this is exactly what he does. He goes, and just starts puking all over this guy's couch. Now, this was unlike anything I'd ever seen before because there was no physical movement in his body. It was like a faucet just turned on and he opened his mouth and it came spewing out like Niagara Falls. It was so disgusting to see. So of course the neighbor is just like, "Dude, what the hell? What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you going on?" And just kind of starts going off. I'm like, "We told you not to take that second gummy. You shouldn't have been drinking and doing both. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Man, get out of my apartment. Get out right now." So immediately everybody's just like, "Oh, party's over." Like, such a sobering thing to have that happen for all of us. And we're just like, all right, party's done. So a couple of the neighbors leave. I join the team where we're like, all right, let's get Andy back to his apartment. This guy has no motor functions in his body. Let's get him home and make sure that he's okay. So I grab one arm, a neighbor grabs the other arm. We tell the neighbor who has to clean up the puke, "Sorry, we'll see you tomorrow," kind of thing. And so we haul Andy back to his apartment. But it was there that things took a turn for me. So we get Andy to his apartment, we send him to the bathroom right away. And I remember, this is kind of funny, that the other neighbor and I, the first thing that we did is we were like, "Oh my God, let's look at his apartment." Because we all have the same apartment shape, but we all like format it differently to our lifestyle needs. And so it's fun to see how like everybody decorates or what their setup is. So we're like standing in his apartment going like, "Oh, he has his office over there. Okay, no dining room. All right, but he's got a little gaming setup. Interesting. And interesting how he set up his desk this way. So that juts out. No, in my apartment, I have like, we're just comparing and being like, interesting how everybody makes the space their own. What a concept." So as we're doing this, we can hear poor Andy just completely turn his body inside out in the bathroom. We just hear a lot of sounds, a lot of guttural noises that we're relieved because they're like, good, get it out of him. Like, let him get it out like a geyser that he is being right now. So we're like, "Hey, Andy, you okay in there? We're gonna head home now. All right, stay safe." And when he emerged from that bathroom, his energy changed. It shifted really quickly because it went from being like cross-faded and kind of foggy to now being drunk and belligerent. Like, he got the gummy out of him, but there was still some alcohol in his system, and he was now catching a second wind and was like ready to party again. So he comes out, he's like, no, guys, don't leave. Come on, the party's just getting started. Like, what are you talking about? And we're like, "My guy, you just puked all over your friend's couch and you're acting like, hey, where's the next stop on our party tour here? Like, no, read the room." So we're telling him, we're like, "No, my guy, like, party's over. Like, go to bed, go to bed." And that's when he kind of starts like grabbing my arm and he's like, no, stay with me, stay with me. And I'm like, no, the party's over. And he starts kind of grabbing my arm again as I'm trying to leave. And he goes, "No, like, stay. So as he's holding my arm, the other neighbor was a guy and he like turns him around and starts pushing him towards the door. And he goes, "You need to leave." And he goes, "You need to leave. Party's over for you." And he's still holding me. He goes, "No, but you're staying with me." And so I'm looking at my other neighbor like, no, like, what's going on here? No. And so I'm telling him like, "No, like, we're done. And so that's when I start getting a little bit scared. Now, this is the part where I can reflect on after 10 weeks in a trauma treatment center and 5 diagnoses later that changed my life, that I understand my mindset now. So in that moment, I was terrified. I'm like, this is a dangerous situation. I'm in a man's apartment. He's trying to remove my only form of protection and get me alone, again, in his apartment. This is a dangerous situation. But I also know that my trauma response is to fawn and freeze. I am not a fighter. That's just not how my brain was trained to work. And it's not even like I could diffuse the situation. I just froze and didn't know what to do. So I completely started shutting down, and I'm just like, no. And I wish I could have been that person who was like, get off me, ew, what the fuck, go to bed, like your time is done, you ruined the night, what are you talking about? But that's just not how my brain worked at the time. So he's still talking, he's like, no, let me come back over, like let's play video games, like I don't want the night to end. And we're like, no, like we're leaving now. So we leave the apartment and we leave him in his own apartment. I walk back to my apartment, and I remember it was so scary in hindsight now to see how quickly I reacted. But I feel like in my brain I blacked out, and I went, I need to protect myself. Now, if you guys watch Shadowbrains, you know that I close my curtains and I turn off all the lights and I make sure that my whole apartment is safeguarded. That night was so scary for me because I remember I took my little door jamb and I stuck it under the door to make sure he couldn't come through. But I remember I barricaded my doors. Like I took my chairs and I lined them up against the doors. I closed all my curtains, but I also shut all my windows in the middle of summer when it's freaking 1,000 degrees in here. And I was like, guess I'm gonna bake in a sauna tonight because I don't want him hearing me. I don't want to hear him in case he's outside. And I didn't sleep in my bed that night. I slept on the couch, and I don't even think I slept. I think I stayed up all night with just these running thoughts and scenarios. Again, I have dissociation. So I do a lot of like storytelling to myself where I'm like, okay, if he comes in, maybe I should grab a knife. And I remember I think I grabbed a knife and I put it on like my little coffee table. And I was like, okay, I could grab this, but then what's my escape plan? Okay, I would have to run out the door he came through. Like that was what going through my mind at the time. But I think what really set me off and set off this trauma response was the fact that he had gotten so physical with my friend so quickly. So that's where my brain was going, is my friend met him, and within that night, things turned very sexual between them very quickly. He was trying to move things really quickly, and you know, he already had this predisposition that he is a party boy horn dog, and I didn't want that reflected onto me. So my brain is just like, wow, he's already a sexual person. He doesn't see the fault in his ways. But then I kind of started to see some of the anger come out of him. This guy knows where I live. He knows I'm just a few doors down with him. He knows I live alone. That's kind of like the whole thing. And right now, he's in a state of intoxication, if not cross-fadedness. He knows where I live. He's angry. He's horny. And he knows that these doors he could easily break down at any point. And that's what's going through my mind, is that like, I am in danger right now. I am not safe in this apartment. I need to do everything to protect myself. Now here's where I can play devil's advocate after, you know, being a little bit more healed. I was absolutely over dramatizing the situation. I absolutely was panicking to the point that I didn't need to panic to. I'm pretty sure just putting my door jamb on was enough. And at the time I was definitely over exaggerating what a danger he was. But I also am very forgiving of myself in the sense that like, that was your trauma response. That's how you knew how to protect yourself, and you saw the red flags and you did what you had to do in order to get out of that situation. And so I have empathy for that part, but I'm also just like, all right, Jay-Z, you may have reacted a little bit dramatically, like that's fair. But needless to say, that night I got zero sleep because I thought a drunk crazy man was gonna come break down my door and essay me in order to prove some sort of point. So then the next day happened. So I was terrified to leave my apartment that next day, mostly just from like the embarrassment of it all. Like I don't want to have to debrief with my neighbors. Like I didn't want to have to, you know, revisit the night at all. But I remember I had to go outside for something, whether to get my mail, to go to my car, you know, laundry, trash, whatever it was. So I go outside and I see my neighbor's couch, like in the courtyard and on the stairs, just like air drying in the sun. And I was like, oh, like he must have cleaned it. Oh God, yeah, I forgot. He has to clean all that up. And that's fabric, you guys. That is soaking into them cushions. Oh man, I don't wish that on anyone. I will say, I've had somebody puke in my apartment once. I had some like coworkers over, and this one girl spent the night because she was too drunk. And I remember I set up the air mattress and she rolls over and she just puked all over my carpet, even though I had set up a trash can right next to her. So I know that feeling of being like dude, the toilet was right there. How did you miss? And now it's my fault to clean up. I had to go rent a carpet cleaner machine and deal with it. So I actually have been there. I don't wish that on my ship, but... Okay, I'm back from my stroke. I don't wish that upon my worst enemy. But anyway, I catch that neighbor on the way back whose couch was defiled in his own place. And I was like, hey, like, what happened? And that's when things started to get better, because he goes, oh yeah, Andy actually came over and helped me clean up. And he helped me clean up the bathroom, and he offered to pay for any type of cleaning for the couch, and he tried cleaning it himself. And he also profusely apologized for being a drunken, messy mess and for all the drama that he caused. And so I kind of start deflating a little bit of like, okay, so he's not blind to the errors in his way. That's good. And, you know, for a partier, usually they'll wake up the next day and feel shame for everything that he did. So I was kind of relieved to hear that that was the case. But you guys, everything changed in the apartment complex, because all of a sudden, my apartment didn't smell like a casino as much. And I didn't hear the chitter chatter from the porch pirates as often. And I also stopped going out to the porch. I, in fact, never went out to the porch ever again, because the vibes were just destroyed. Then every single neighbor was just kind of like, well, that was kind of ruined. Like, we don't want to have a party. That was such an icky night that like we're not even interested in hanging out again. And I will say that Andy did apologize to me. I'm pretty sure he apologized to everybody, but the next time I saw him, he was just like, hey, I am so sorry for how messy I got. Like, I kind of struggle with doing too much when it comes to a party scene, but I'm taking the steps to like not let that happen anymore. And I guess a little epilogue on his story is he changed. Like, it was kind of crazy that like I saw that he wasn't that party boy anymore, and he like really needed that night to almost like hit rock bottom for him to reflect and be like, uh-oh, I have a problem. But unfortunately, the damage was done, and all of the neighbors pretty much collectively were like, well, vibes are ruined. I guess we can all go back to just being friendly neighbors and nothing more. And that's what it's been. Just friendly neighbors, you know? We pass in the hallways and we give a nod. We say, hey, how are you doing? Good, how are you? All right, have a good one. And that's about the extent of it. We never hung out again after that. We never tried to plan any more karaoke parties. And it's probably for the best. But here's another way that I can reflect on it is I remember for a very long time after that party, I was so sad about it because I blamed myself for ruining everything in this apartment complex. I guilted myself for creating so much tension among the neighbors because I thought it was my fault that I was the one to initiate everybody hanging out. I was the one to first host a party and really try to get the neighbors to become more friends. And so when that was ruined and we all got to the point of like it being tense weirdness, I blame myself, you know? And again, in hindsight, I learned that I do a lot of self-punishing and I guilt myself and I blame myself for things. I didn't need to blame myself for that. We're all grown adults and it's Andy's fault. You did this to us. This isn't my fault. But you know, I have sympathy for myself at the time of like, oh, I thought everything was my fault. And the sad thing is too, is that night when I was like terrified he was gonna come break down my door, in my head I started blaming myself of maybe I was giving him signals that was okay. Maybe he got the wrong idea because of something that I said or I did. This is my fault that he wants to come break down my door and hurt me. I need to reflect and maybe never hang out with these neighbors again because I did something wrong. And that's not the case. And that's so sad to think that I thought that way. And I don't think that way anymore. So much about me has changed since then. But again, at this time, this was 5 years ago when I was in the depths of my trauma, that I can empathize with how I was feeling in that time. But now, fast forward 5 years later, about half of those neighbors, I would say, don't live here anymore. You know, I follow them on Instagram, wish them well. That's the other reason I didn't want to share this story is I'm so scared to share stories of like people that I know and will see again. Like, I'm so fine sharing stories of people that like, I'm never gonna see them again, screw them, or like that happened, but like, I don't have to worry about if they're gonna watch this video and judge me and talk to me about it. This was one where I'm like, I still see some of these people. I don't know if they watch my channel. I don't know what they're gonna think. I don't care anymore. I'm releasing so much of that in my life that like, screw you, you ruined that night and everything for everyone else. But Andy and I are on great terms. We're cool. We're doing great. I don't want to air out any of his personal business, but suffice to say that he is doing so well for his life right now, and I'm so happy for him, and he really did turn a new leaf after that night from what I saw, and I wish him nothing but the best. And as for me, I realized that I was just so desperate for connection. I'm an extrovert and I needed a friend group, whether it was contrived from my neighbors or not. And after that kind of dissipating, I was able to find a friend group. I was able to find people that I actually connect with and that I enjoy hanging out with, and that I didn't need a placeholder just for social activity. I found people that I'm actually in love with hanging out with. So it was good news on all ends, but let this be a lesson, you guys. Don't take the second gummy, okay? And also don't miss the toilet. You were so close. You were right there. Just make it into the bowl where you can flush it all away, all right? Lessons in partying, you guys. But that's the story of the night that I thought my neighbor was going to come kill me. In hindsight, no, he wasn't going to. But then again, you never know. He really could have. He really could have, and that was my mindset. But that's just one of those stories of like, I didn't want to tell, but now I can tell it from a different perspective. So I have a few more stories like that where, unfortunately, guys, I myself got into a bit of a party phase, and I have some party stories that I'm more comfortable sharing with you guys coming up. So if you want to hear more story times, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you can see all those pop up on your YouTube homepage when they arrive. I'm a little under the weather. I don't know if you could tell. So I'm a little bit behind schedule, but they're coming. They're coming, you guys. So I'll see you in the next video. Oh wait, I didn't do all like my plugs. I don't know, go follow me on social media. I got a talk show. I've been going live on YouTube at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. So see you guys in all the other platforms. But I love you. I'll see you next time. Toodles! Okay, so you guys see this sweater? So I just thrifted this sweater because I was like, this is nice quality. Where's this from? So I looked up the tag and it's from Slumu. And I was like, Slumu, is that some like luxury brand I've never heard of? Slumu is a slime institute. It's like an interactive slime museum for children. And they did some weird limited edition apparel collab. This is like a $200 sweater. So like good find. But it's from a slime institute. I don't even know what it is. I just thought it was fun and cool, but I thought that was kind of funny. So I don't know, slime for the win.